before we say our prayer, just want to bring some comfort to the community. We have a lot of people that watch Fiscal Court meetings. Obviously, this has been a disaster in our community. I would say probably one of the biggest disasters that we've had in some time. We all know about the '09 ice storm that affected pretty much the whole county, if not the region and some of our other states. But this particular disaster, I think, is more precise in what the damage that it did. We are a community, not just in Marshall County, but in our region, that have a strong faith in God. And so I just want to bring comfort in sharing some scriptures for the people in our community. As they watch this, they can turn to, they can read. There's a lot mentioned in the Bible. Isaiah 40, verses 6 through 8, 1 Corinthians, or 1 Corinthians, verse 3, and I'll just read it. God of all comfort, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort. Also in Revelations 21, verse 1 through 4, the new heaven and the new earth. I think those are some good verses and chapters to reference during times like this. But most importantly, God comforts, and we should look to Him in times in trouble, in times of a disaster. But the most important thing is the gospel of Jesus coming to save sinners from their sins and reconciling them to Himself and the Father. So I just want to share that with not just the court today, but the people in our community, what's most important during these hard times that we may come upon, and try to give comfort for those that are in need of comfort. So with that, will everybody bow their head, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we ask as a community, as a region, that we look upon your word and we remember the gospel of Jesus and what its true meaning is, to reconcile through Him with you. We ask that those that are hurting, that those that have lost family, that those that may not know who to turn to, that they turn to you, and that they ask for forgiveness in their sins. As we say and read in Revelations, as a new heaven coming to earth and God being with us, that they focus on the true meaning of Jesus' gospel. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Under guests, Brittany, is she here? Oh, I'm sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think several of us have sleep deprivation, so it's we'll go ahead and call Marshall County Fiscal Court to order December 21st. First under the agenda is, I don't see Brittany. Okay. We'll move on to Laurel Matula. Good morning with ER Assist.
Hello, I'm here, ER Assist. I'm the disaster grant management firm that the county has hired to help navigate through this public infrastructure disaster grant reimbursement program, as well as a little bit of individual assistance for homeowners and citizens, and any other grants that we can find as we navigate through this process. It's been a very short, probably 4 days since we've been boots on the ground, and I'd like to report back to the Fiscal Court the progress that we've made and take any feedback, any reports from citizens. First, I want to talk about the debris status. And we are using we do have contract debris haulers out in the county collecting debris. We are using a reporting program that shows at what locations and how many yards, how many truckloads is being reported, and these reports are going to each of the commissioners, and if you are not getting that email every morning, please let me know, or if there's someone else that we need to add to the list, just make us know, just let us know. If you have any specific questions on what the dots mean, or if we want to provide transparency as to what's being collected.
I do, just
Okay, yes,
real quick.
please.
So when you first talked about the debris, you talked about it in tons, and that's what I've been relaying, and then all this information is in cubic yards. So is there a
There's a conversion.
conversion?
There's a conversion.
Okay, so you
So,
can
I think
tell me
initially-
later what
Yeah.
that conversion is, because
Yeah.
I'm clueless now, because I'm
Yeah.
going by tons.
So initially, it was being collected by tons because that's what was set up at the transfer station. The transfer station had some portable scales that were being used. So the first few days, as we had those mutual aid providers from Boyd, Livingston, McCracken, we were weighing it as it came in.
Yeah.
Because of those portable scales were a little hard to deal with, and the lack of immediate availability of the bigger scales, we moved to a volume reporting system, which is acceptable. And I'll let Debris Tech reference that a little bit. But what happens is we measure the volume of the truck. So we climb in the truck and we measure the volume of the truck, and we say, hey, this truck can hold 100 cubic yards. Then what happens is we have a certified estimator stand up in a tower, like a scissor lift or like a deer stand, and they will look down into that truck bed and say, that's about 75% full. That means then the debris hauler gets paid 75 cubic yards.
Okay, so is the estimator a different company than the,
Yeah,
okay,
oh, for sure. There's some
okay,
good- yeah.
all right.
We don't have the Fox watching the, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I just want to make sure. I'm
The
not, I'm
estimator is
not
this guy.
questioning your, I
Yeah.
just want
The
to,
estimator is this guy,
okay,
the hauler's that guy.
okay. Okay, good enough. That's, all right. We can
Sometimes
talk about the
Sometimes
conversion
it gets heated
another
over
time.
whether it's 75% or 74%, but.
That's why they're sitting in
Yeah,
different
that's-
pews,
that is-
huh?
that- They are in different
Interesting.
pews, that's a true
I
story.
get it. All right.
So, because Looks Great is the hauler that was selected by the Fiscal Court under emergency contract, and I know they need to be out on the roads and reporting and coordinating. So I'd like to defer to them to update for just a few minutes and then make them hit the road and get some work done. I'll be back.
Thanks, Laurel. My name is Jerry Day, and I'm with Looks Great Services. We're out of Columbia, Mississippi. We do have a vast amount of experience in this type of work. Obviously, we presented our resume to you guys when you chose to hire us. We've been at it, working side by side with Roy and his team this is our fourth day. We signed a contract on, I believe, Thursday or Friday. We rolled in now we have about 18 of these big double claw trucks that you may be seeing all over the place, and they typically haul between 120 and 150 cubic yards. They're big trucks. All of our drivers are very experienced in driving these. They've done these type of operations for many years. Sometimes I wonder how they even this is a very complicated project because of the narrowness of the roads where most of the damage occurred and the extensiveness of the damage. So anyway, we've been at it for about our fourth day, and there is a lot of debris out there. We'll be adding trucks on Monday, as we see the power company has now finished up and given us some room to be able to get in there and get some of that debris. Yesterday was actually our first day that we got up to most of the damage. The hardest hit damaged area is Cambridge Shores area because Sunday was the last day that the power company was in there, and so we wanted to be able to allow them to do their work safely. And so anyway, so we'll be continuing. If you have any questions, like I said, we've been working with Mr. Watkins and Judge Neal and the emergency management, Wade Boggs at emergency management, and that's how we've been operating through. So, yep.
So 120 to 150 per truck? I mean, I know they're doubles. Are you saying?
A truck, typically a truck will be they measure in between 60 and 90. But so there's
Okay.
a truck in the front and a trailer in the back.
Okay, all right.
And
gotcha.
occasionally, like, for example, yesterday we were running several trucks without trailers because of the narrowness of the area. So when the
Yeah.
opportunity exists for the truck and trailer, longer distances, and when we can safely
Yeah.
get there, we do that. So, it comes and goes. And, one of the things that Mr. Watkins has been so great at, there's some really, really tight areas that we're even using some of his trucks, with like, what was the street you're on today?
Well, Dove Lane will be one.
Yeah, Dove Lane. There's just some really, really narrow spots. And so they've wanted to keep working, and they've done just a marvelous job. And I would say that I'm guessing I've been in 75 disaster FEMA events, and your county is one of the hardest working group of people that we've been around. And most of the time when we come in a county, it's totally disorganized and no one knows what's happening. But, I mean, I was blown away that the EEOC and how efficiently, 2 meetings a day, now we're down to 1 meeting a day. But it's been a very, although heart-wrenching experience, but it's been encouraging to see the amount of coordination that you guys have done together. So thanks for the opportunity. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. But we'll be here as long as you want us, and we will be accountable for the things that we do and try to make this the best experience we can for you guys. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks,
Thank
Jerry.
you.
Thank you.
Hit the road. I told you guys do you have a question for them?
No, for them or you, have we identified a debris site in the west end of the county yet? I
So
know we
I think
were
that's
working
some-
with that.
That's gonna be-
Yeah,
Typically, these contracts run based on the mileage that you travel. And Benton County is very unusual in that the landfill is really only 10 or 11 miles at its farthest point, which the points on the very west side that have damage, tell me one of the names of the.
Lee Bird.
Like Lee Bird would be the farthest damage from the site, and that's only about 11 miles. So typically, the cost of developing a second site, that takes more monitors, that's more cost to the government. We have to weigh that out. And so sometimes we'll travel 25 to 30 miles to get rid of debris. So the west side, as much as it might be a little bit more convenient, it's going to be the same cost to the city. And we have to we have 5 or 6 people at that site because they have C&D coming over here, and then the private citizens have to dump here, and we have a burn pile here, and then the private citizen. So it's a highly active site, so there's a huge cost to everyone to set that up. So at this time, we're not thinking that's going to be necessary, but we will reevaluate that soon.
So you're thinking we have the capacity there to handle all this?
Yes, with some adjustments that we're making on the fly, yes. But that's not a guarantee, I mean, we'll evaluate that as we go, but it's a very fluid situation. But right now, we have the capacity, and we feel like if we make some adjustments, there's a lot of land there and a lot of space that they've offered to us, and we feel like it is certainly more organized when we're all in one place and we all have a plan. The monitoring company meets there as well, and one of the challenges is, every day having monitors set up with the crews to make sure they're doing the work that's eligible by FEMA, and so just that coordination saves us time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What about during the, just curious, the holiday, every day?
Go ahead.
yeah. If their cubic yardage is good, then the next day or two, then I think they're going to break at noon or 2 p.m. on the 23rd.
We're going to break at noon on the 23rd, at 2 p.m., no, 2 p.m. A lot of our crews are going to work all day. We have some local people that are, but some of us are out of town are going to be leaving that evening and then coming and driving back the day after Christmas and starting up Monday after Christmas. We are going to work through the New Year's. We're going to work New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, no shut off there.
Okay.
So that's our schedule.
Just curious, it wasn't a,
I-
because I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been pushing the volume and performance, and they have produced.
Yeah,
That's their Christmas present.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
To follow up on your question, also, they're only under an emergency contract, a temporary short-term contract right now. So that we may open up on the west end once the longer-term contractor is in place, which may be them if they are the successful proposal, or if we find that the road department crews need it. But, you know, it is an intricate ballet of competing needs, and now that the bulk of the power company work is out of there, it is much better. So what I said last Thursday, if we need multiple debris sites, once the power company's out there, that has shifted. But it may go back. Roy, would you like to interject with the cubic yardage or number of loads, or would?
Yeah, that's fine. How many juries hold? Yeah,
Roy.
Day,
I'm sorry. Yeah, never mind.
yeah. Mr. Day, their company's hauled 22,019 cubic yards to date. And that'd be since Saturday. And the road department has, hauled 2,966 cubic yards, since Saturday. Mr. Day has 18 trucks running, and the road department has 7. And before that Saturday, when it was just the road department running, we had hauled 627 loads. At that time, we didn't calculate the cubic yards we was weighing, but 627 loads before their contract started.
You still think it's about 500,000?
Cubic yards. FEMA and KYEM are here today to go out to ride with Debris Tech and verify that our estimate of the cubic yards. I do estimate, just from doing a very initial windshield survey, that's a high-tech term for driving down the road saying, well, that looks about, it's about 300,000 vegetative or tree cubic yards and about 200,000 C&D or the construction and demolition cubic yards.
Okay, let me stop you.
I think
We
there's
were
more.
talking tons the other day, and you're still on the same number. So is you
would-
said cubic yards then. Is it tons or cubic yards?
It's cubic yards.
Okay, so the other day, was it cubic yards and you just said tons? You're confusing me.
Said yards.
Yeah,
The other day,
I think I did, yeah. Very.
I
yeah.
wrote down tons.
I think that's your mistake.
500,000
Shame on you.
cubic yards.
So am I the only one who has been out telling the citizens?
Did everybody else hear yards? I heard yards.
Yes.
No, because then we asked you, what's a dump truck per ton? And you said 14 to 20 tons, right? Or did you say cubic yards?
Cubic yards.
It's okay.
Our dump trucks will hold
Lloyd, were you here?
Nine-
Did you, okay.
As the judge opened up, everyone's on very little sleep.
All right, well, move forward. Laurel?
Yes, sir. Okay. Any other debris questions? Oh, yes, plenty of debris questions. So we are operating under an emergency contract right now. We are putting out the emergency contract is only in place while we have the opportunity to proceed with our normal procurement. We'll be placing that ad and following that normal procurement in the next day or two. As of right now, that procurement will be due January 3rd at 9 a.m. And I have slated to attend that reception or that opening, the county attorney, the judge, the deputy judge, and Commissioner Collins. Collins? Yeah. Say again? Yes, and he's boxed there, I just didn't say it.
Okay.
And Roy.
What? What were you
Oh, wait,
I was
January-
looking up my notes.
Yeah, to find the tons.
Yes.
It's January 3rd at 9 a.m. if you are available
Okay.
to receive proposals. These are proposals, they're not bids. It's not the lowest price bid. What happens if we went lowest price bid, we would get someone that said 50 cents, and they would not be able to do the work.
Yeah.
Like we want, the proposal evaluates experience, performance, resume. There's a scoring of their work plans specific to this community. This community is much different than other communities in the storm, especially because of the narrow roads and so in the affected area. So there are scoring performances. Price is a component.
And that's here.
Yes, so on
Yeah.
January 3rd, we'll receive it, and then January 4th, we'll make the recommendation to the fiscal court. There are items in there. There's a bid bond. We have to check references, and then the scoring components. I expect there will be a ton of responses, so January 3rd, at least for me, will be a very full day.
A ton of responses, not yards of responses.
Oh! Okay, any other debris questions? Debris Tech is the monitoring firm. They are actively hiring. And those positions, I think, are being paid $10 an hour. 12? Ooh. For local hires, it's $12 an hour. They pick up full-time employees at every disaster. So if anyone wants to come out and see if this might be if they've ever wanted to travel for disasters and get paid, they can come on as a local temporary hire, and if they do a great job, they'll travel to the next disaster in Virginia or Florida or Texas.
Are there any requirements that you all are looking for those?
Is able to use an iPad and is able to have a car to be able to drive around and follow the trucks.
That car must have insurance.
Right, and the car must have insurance, and valid driver's license.
Where do they go to?
Well, that's a trick question.
You're-
Today,
okay.
for today, they can go to the,
Currently, the Park Visitor Center over there.
but that's only through today. After that, we will post on social media.
Okay.
And also on, if people should go to Indeed.com.
Okay.
On Indeed.com.
All right.
Okay, so that's debris. That's the public infrastructure. That's getting things off the right-of-way into the trucks to the transfer station. It is a delicate balance out there between the debris trucks, the volunteers. Thank goodness for all the volunteers. But also, it's a complex coordination. So to everyone, yes, it is a moving target of this coordination. So thanks to everyone for coordinating and having patience. It will get better. But as long as those volunteers get that debris to the curb and continue to get it to the curb, those trucks will continue to haul it. We are, at this point, not giving a schedule of when the trucks will be at what location. Probably after Christmas or after New Year's, we'll be at a point we can give that location, but right now we're still figuring it out each day based on the power company or utility work requirements or the volunteer work requirements. So going forwards, in 2022, we should be able to post, we'll be on these roads. Tomorrow, we'll be on these roads the next day.
Okay.
These are goals. This will not happen tomorrow. We've had FEMA, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We've had tons of people in the area doing site assessments for public infrastructure. Everyone in the federal government has been very helpful, and we look forward to working with them throughout this process, especially as we request expedited funding. That's our magic word for the fiscal court, expedited funding for our FEMA public assistance. But more on that later. So the last thing that I talked about last time is that under ER Assist provides public assistance, grant navigation, but we also, on occasion, provide individuals or homeowners, citizens, survivor navigation assistance. And so on this event, we have partnered with the nonprofit Compass 82. They've rolled up under our contract, our state term contract, to provide the citizens of Marshall County a one-stop shop as a trusted advisor. This is in addition to Red Cross or FEMA. This is someone, a nonprofit, that can help them understand all the terminology and navigate a path forward. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sue Martichek with Compass 82, and that website is compass82.org.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, a little bit about myself and my organization. So, January will be 22 years since I've been in the emergency management field. I've worked with the Red Cross from 9/11 through Katrina. I've worked with FEMA, and for the past 9 years, I've worked for a nonprofit as the executive director. During those 9 years, we ran 6 years of recovery for Hurricane Sandy. We've been down in the Keys in the hardest hit area for Hurricane Irma. We then went to the hardest hit area for Hurricane Michael, and we are currently doing some work in New Jersey for hurricane, or the remnants of Hurricane Ida. So we've been kind of doing this for a while. It's in our blood, especially the part of dealing with the clients or the survivors. Right now, at 11 days out, the world is very confusing for them. Nobody knows where to turn. So one of the best things that we could do, and that's immediate moment, is to have a pathway where we are connecting them into a system. I think in talking to Justin, it's, people don't know where to go, right? They're over here, they're over there, they get sent over here. So the idea right now would be that we are going to set up a system where I have disaster navigators. And I just want to really clarify that term, because there is a disaster case management program that is funded by FEMA that can come into play. That will take a little while. In New Jersey, our storm happened in September. We're still waiting for the request for proposals to come out, which is going to be in January. We feel from doing this work day in and day out, if we just leave people on their own for a long length of time, they make mistakes. So in Sandy, we helped facilitate distributing $7 million. We helped people get an additional 6.5 in additional insurance payouts to help them get a more fair payout. And when we went back after 6 years and looked at the records of these people, you could trace back the people that ended up needing the most help made these critical errors within the first 3 to 6 months. They didn't get paid out fairly from their insurance company. They didn't, get everything they may have been eligible for FEMA. They totally didn't understand SBA. And let me give you guys, for those that may not be familiar. In disasters, FEMA offers loans, homeowner loans, through the SBA, Small Business Association. One of my first questions when I worked for FEMA was, why can't you change that name? Because people throw out the application. I'm a homeowner, I just lost everything, I'm not a business, this isn't for me. But the reason why it is done that way is because in the government entity, it is the fastest mechanism that the federal government has to get money into people's pockets. So that is a very good thing. And if you go back and look at the numbers, the amount of money that's given out through SBA is tremendous and usually beats out what they get in IA. So what we try to explain to people is you have to look at it like this. It is free for you to apply for this SBA application. It is a low-interest loan, usually under 2%. You don't have to take it if you get it. But if it's time limited, this application, and if this application process closes, and here's part of the challenge that I keep trying to push in Washington, is we need SBA applications to be open for like 2 years after a storm, not like 3 months, 6 months, because it is unnatural for people to just apply for a loan just for the heck of it, right? Like nobody really does that. You apply for the loan when you know there's a gap in what your construction budget is. So it's going to take a little while to figure it out. It's going to take a while to fight with your insurance company. It's going to take some time to get estimates. We all know the world we're living in where there's a chain, the supply chain challenges, costs have increased. So to encourage people now to apply for an SBA is really something very beneficial, because once that's gone, then when they get in that situation 6 months, 8 months, a year down the road, and they're like, oh my God, I need $20,000 to pay this construction, this electrician or whatever, they end up putting it on their credit cards. And then now they're paying 20% interest to do something that they could add to. So the problem is that sometimes you need to have a conversation with somebody and not just a flyer. And that's why we're hoping once we get our system up and running, we will be having a disaster navigator from Compass 82 speaking with each individual household member or families. And we're not gonna have all the answers. We're definitely not, but we're gonna tell them, here's what you can expect from FEMA. You brought up to Kevin that somebody already said they applied for FEMA and they said, oh, you have insurance, you're denied. You can't do it. That's not true. That is not true. What is true is that FEMA is government dollars, emergency dollars, right? They're only going to come into play after you have received your money from your insurance company. Because the whole thing here, nobody wants that. This is a duplication of benefits is going to be something you're going to be hearing for a while. And on the individual level, that is something that FEMA is not going to give money to fix your roof if you have an insurance company. Now, if you get denied from your insurance company for something, then we help the homeowner use that denial with FEMA to say, hey, listen, they didn't cover, here's my denial, and then FEMA can then consider. So it is true that they won't automatically, if someone didn't have insurance, then they can start tapping into those resources immediately from FEMA. But if they have insurance, it doesn't mean it's totally off the radar. It just means there are some extra steps that have to happen.
And let me let me stop you, because I think that one thing you said was very important, and I hope that people are watching this, and if anything that they get out of it is just to call you with, additional insurance benefits. So that is above and beyond what their insurance company told them they were going to do. That's very important. So what you were able to do in Sandy, what you're saying is maybe insurance said, we're going to pay $6 million for all these. You were able to get for those people $12 million total, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example. So we were contacted by someone who unfortunately lost their mother in the storm. So they just went through this process of the funeral and everything that goes along when you lose a loved one. The next day, yesterday, Monday, they were talking with their insurance company, and I said, well, how's it going? And there's some discussion on the house. The house is one of those houses that is totally destroyed in that area. And I said, well, what about contents, right? Because in your policy, you have coverage for your structure, and then you may have coverage, if you paid for it, for your contents. And here was the concerning point to me, was this woman had $60,000 of coverage for contents, and they only offered her $10,000 for contents. And perhaps one of the more disturbing things was the sentence that the insurance person said to a grieving daughter, which was, I know it's not true, but we don't know if the house could have been vacant. Appalling, just appalling.
Yeah.
But what it raised for me, besides the hair on the back of my neck, was, okay, folks, we got to be prepared to push back on these insurance companies for these people. We have to figure out how we can really make sure people get paid out fairly, just fairly. It's a contract, they should get paid out fairly. But you can't have somebody live decades in a household and only think that they have $10,000. So for those who may be listening, one of the best things that we can do is document anything that you can. Now, if you have been in the tornado, it's hard because things are obviously not in where they were before the storm. So now you got to go forensically, go back. Our Facebook posts, our Christmas, our holiday. This is the rug. If it is that, and that's where my people can help, because it's overwhelming. It's like to start an Excel sheet and start doing it. For those, we were just talking, for those that did not get impacted by this storm, use this as a lesson learned. We all got these cameras on our phones. Videotape your house. Just go and just videotape it, and you will put yourself in the best position moving forward. But for those that have been impacted, we're going to have to kind of work a little bit to make sure that you're getting paid fairly. The next thing that will come into play, so we have FEMA, we have SBA, we have your insurance, and now we have to try to protect these people from contractor fraud. Because that is another thing that once, let's say, they navigate that first part and they get through FEMA correctly, their insurance, maybe even get an SBA loan. All those good things could go out the window if they give money to a contractor that then doesn't do any work or never comes back to the house. So we're a little bit early in the process, although I have heard some little things, but that is another thing for us to collectively feel how we can protect these homeowners from that.
A couple of questions. What is is there an average amount on this SBA loan? What are people looking at on that?
I have to go and check what it is for this, if they changed it, but usually it was like $40,000 for contents, and I think it was up to $100,000. I will get back with a correct amount for you, but that's usually where it is. And so it's a little bit more lenient than if you went to a bank too. That's part of the advantage of the SBA. And if you fail the SBA test, which means SBA is saying we're not going to be able to loan you money because we don't think that you have a way to pay us back by whatever your financial situation is. If that does happen, the benefit to that is that FEMA has an other needs assistance program. And that other needs assistance program, is part of it that gets opened if you cannot get an SBA loan. And some of those items that are in this other needs category can do from everything with medical equipment, cars, contribute towards a car. So it's a hard thing in any disaster to talk to people about the SBA, but it's one of the things that I'm hoping that once we get the program open, maybe do some public workshops with people and start really getting into that next level of explaining it to them.
Thank you.
Can you just share, because we do have people that watch, as far as how they can contact you and where you're going to be at?
So for right now, we're integrating everyone through the existing hotline, and in the next few days, that may transition to Compass 82 website.
Yeah.
Okay, but that hotline is 270-527-8657. 270-527-8657.
Thank you.
And anything else for Compass 82?
No? Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Compass 82 take donations to operate your disaster navigator. If outside of this area, we're not looking for anyone in this area to donate to Compass 82, but outside of,
Yeah, so we were funded through Sandy on total philanthropic dollars. That allowed us to operate for 6 years. And I'll tell you, the biggest contributor to that was they had that concert that really laid to do it. Under the government contract, there's a disaster case management program that I said that comes into play, and that is funding, that is a contract through there. So we have many different ways, but what I'm most excited about is that most of the time we get plugged in so late into an operation. Like Irma, we started a year. Michael, 15 months before they bring us on. The fact that Laurel has me down here and we're 10 days after, I think we could do a lot of good working together this early, so thank you.
And we do get, I mean, as you know, we've been inundated with, which is a good thing, with donation requests. So if people know that Compass 82 is going to be helping citizens in the affected area, I think that might be an option.
Then
for them to
that
donate.
would provide Compass 82 the bodies and the manpower and the expertise. So the name of the game is economic recovery. The name of the game is psychological recovery. The name of the game is getting this debris up, allowing people to rebuild, helping them recover. And we are just a couple days into it, but I think we're on the best track that we can possibly be right now. But as things come up, we'll add more rails to the track. We'll try to stay on the track. What's another track? We'll keep on going down the track. Like, we're on a path. We're working together. We're getting there. It is looking good.
I think Jason brought up a good point about the debris removal, and I should have thought of it when they were here, but I think it's important, and we posted this on our Facebook page, but I'll put the graphic up there again. If you don't want certain items removed from your property, make sure they're not within that 10-foot
Correct.
from the road.
Yes.
So, because if they're actively out picking up debris.
Yeah, they don't know.
So this is the graphic that we put up on our Facebook page for people to kind of understand
Yeah.
how to sort their debris and where to put it on their property.
Right. If it's in the right-of-way and it looks like debris, obviously if it's your running car, they're not going to pick it up and put it in the truck. If so, then got a problem. But if you don't want it picked up and it could possibly be misconstrued as debris that needs to be collected, get it out of the right-of-way. Last chance, debris. Okay.
This probably should have been a question for the gentleman that left, but from the edge of the street, what's the farthest distance something needs to be?
You guys with your trick questions for
And
me.
then we've got the ditch we're trying to keep
Right.
things out of, so, I know it needs to be within reach of the grapple, but
So right now, FEMA allows us under the public assistance grant to collect from the maintained right-of-way. That is variable in this county. If there is not a maintained right-of-way that citizens can get the debris to, then that's something that needs to be called into the hotline, and perhaps we can have one of the volunteer organizations. You may hear them called VOAD, Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster, one of those affiliated volunteer groups, 8 Days of Hope, Team Rubicon, Baptist Charities. There's probably 20 volunteer organizations, very big volunteer organizations here. So don't let the lack of manpower be the reason for us not to get this done. Call it into the hotline, we'll identify it, we'll work to solve. It's possible, especially in some of the neighboring communities, that FEMA will allow contractors to go on to private property. That won't happen for a few weeks, likely. So right now, we have to follow the rules so that we can get our FEMA funding. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize. But next time we talk, it could be a different answer. Well, if that's it, I'll, just like I dismissed, looks great in the hauler, I'm going to dismiss myself in debris tech and get out there and do things.
Thank you.
With your permission, of
Yes,
course, Fiscal
yes,
Court.
thank you. Yes. Let's recess. FEMA is downstairs. They're going to come up, and they wanted to have a meeting with all the representatives. So we would recess
I
and just
move we-
hear from them.
Yeah, just take them up.
I move we recess.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go ahead and continue. We'll make a motion to come back in order. I'll make a motion to come back in order. Second. All those in favor say aye.
She's got a question, I think.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. You ready? We'll go under old business. We're going to approve the minutes of December 7th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance 2021-08, budget amendment, second reading.
Okay, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof. Whereas the County of Marshall has received additional funds, now be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that Section 1, the annual budget for fiscal year 21-22, is amended to A, increase or decrease the following revenue accounts. General fund balance, July 1, $25,000. Road fund balance, July 1, $67,809.50. Road fund transfer out, $67,809.50. General fund transfer in, $67,809.50. E911 miscellaneous revenue, $1,000, for a total of $93,809.50. B, increase expenditure accounts as follows: other county building maintenance, $25,000. Pad ready site commitment, $67,809.50. Travel and training, $1,000, for a total of $93,809.50. Section 2, the amounts added to the revenues and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes, approved by the Marshall County Fiscal Court on the 15th day of November 2021. Kevin Neal, approved as to form and classification the 9th day of December 2021 by Robert Brown, State Local Finance Officer. This amendment to the budget ordinance was adopted by the Marshall County Fiscal Court, Kentucky on this 21st day of December of 2021.
Is there any discussion? If not, that is a second reading. We would need a motion to approve the
So moved.
budget amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. C is the existing road resolution. We had this in the court last meeting. We just need to reapprove. We discussed it. We just need to, with the changes, we just need to approve it.
Last meeting, somebody falsely accused Nicole of having the typo on that. That was not her, so just for the record. And she's the one.
Is there a reason why Commissioner Collins is receiving such?
Yes, there is.
Direct communication?
It's deserving.
Nicole was the one who actually found these needed changes. So bravo, Nicole. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you,
I think we should
Nicole.
go back to the record and
Job.
see if I actually said Nicole's
Can we pull the
name.
record?
I said someone. I didn't say who.
We
I
pull
mean,
the record.
I mean, if you want to go
You're
back and look at
looking at me, though.
it was me. I'm the one who said that she had made
Oh,
the
well, then
typo.
why are you looking at me then?
I said someone.
You're awful touchy
I was thinking,
today.
I didn't think I said that. Yeah.
Guilty
The
conscience.
guilty look.
All right.
So-
Anyway. So
Anyway.
moved.
Second.
We couldn't have done this without Nicole. I just want to make that clear.
That's right. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes, Nicole, thank you so much for all that you do.
I know Laurel is downstairs. Let's table item A on the new business until she gets back up here because she'll have some insight on this process. Motion to table item A.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, building inspection, expanded jurisdiction. This is by the state renewal application. It has been filled out and completed. I just want to read from the board in a special called meeting on Friday, December 17th. The Marshall County Building Board recommended the following items to the Fiscal Court for their consideration. Item 1, the board recommends that the expanded jurisdiction agreement be renewed with the Department of Housing, Buildings, and Construction. Item 2, the Marshall County Building Board recommends the Marshall County Fiscal Court adopt a permitting program to be administered by the County Treasurer's Office. This program would require contractors working in Marshall County to register with the Treasurer's Office and submit a copy of their insurance certificate showing compliance with insurance requirements by the state of Kentucky. This program should be advertised on social media and media outlets to help homeowners identify legitimate contractors for debris cleanup, repairs, and reconstruction. And we were actually having a conversation about the occupational tax, with so many contractors coming in that they would need to register as well. So, but as far as the renewal application for expanded jurisdiction, the board recommends they approve it. That was their recommendation to us. And as far as item 2, if we want to put something in place on that recommendation, we can take action on that and we can work on putting that in place. So
Do one that, so do the
Approval
approval of the expanded jurisdiction. So moved.
motion, is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then need a motion, any discussion on putting in place a permitting program or process through the Treasurer's Office for the contractors that come in to do work.
So let's talk about, I think it's a great thing, because this is not to me, an expansion of government by any means. This is right now is the absolute example of protection of those homeowners. And I cannot see a negative to this at all. I'm sure the Treasurer's Office might have the one negative, which is additional work within your office, but, God love you. But I guess the the question I guess I have, and I know Bill is the, how do we police it after we put it in place? I mean, as far as guys that are out, and I don't necessarily mean police per se, but you know what I mean? I mean, how do we enforce it? How do we enforce it through, I mean, ordinance? I mean, is this a?
During the ice storm, there was some, I can't
We did
remember.
something in the judge's office where they
Yeah.
come in, they would give their information, they had to fill out an application.
Yeah, there
They'd
was an
give a photo
application
ID.
process, and that was done in the judge's office. They had to
Yeah.
come in and provide proof of insurance,
They got a
a
certificate. and they had-
name, and they were issued a certificate, things like that.
So it was a temporary,
Yeah, it was a basically temporary license to do business.
I was going to say, this looks like a business license. I think I won't speak for Erica's office, but I would think from her standpoint, people still have to register for occupational tax license. So you still have to do that. And we've talked about this in years past, about having a business license and not being the fee being nominal, not overly burdensome, but at least a tracking system for businesses. However, you think the discussion is it temporary or is it permanent? And that being so, how do you handle current businesses that are already out there?
Well, yeah, and I'm certainly not looking to, if we want to talk about a county business license, I think we can do that at another time. I don't think it would necessarily be fair to charge contractors a fee that we're not charging other businesses. So although that might be something that we talk about at a later time, I think this needs to be purely focused on
Protection.
those businesses that would need an inspection.
Yeah, I think too, you'll have to be a little bit more specific on contractor, because that could range from
Right.
anything. I mean, you can have a contractor be putting sod in your yard. I mean, there's,
Yeah, that is not something that would go through an inspection process.
yes.
I think
Because you've already got, when you're talking about contractors, you've got your plumbers,
Yeah.
and your electricians. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
the
already
ones you
licensed.
think of,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're talking about consumer protection for those individuals who come in and are offering basically general contracting type services that are not licensed in any way whatsoever in anywhere, unless it's local,
But-
in the state of Kentucky, at least not by state law, so.
Yeah, but again, I think we were having that issue even with licensed. That's the way that I took it with Randy when he spoke to us back last year. It wasn't just non-licensed folks. It seemed to be contractors that were
Well, there's
coming
no-
in.
there's no
as
contractor
far as
license.
occupational, well,
I think I was able to make it up here for the meeting. I think they had some really good ideas, and I think on this registry process, at least we can obtain some identification, driver's license, anything we can gather would help in tracking them down if there's something criminal.
Yeah,
Somebody
would you,
from the-
as they're coming in now as contractors to get access into parts of the county, there is a database of those contractors that have come in. So we've got somewhat of a list of contractors that have come in out at the school. We focused everybody to go through so they can be accounted for, so that they can get the proper sticker, if you will, to be a contractor that is allowed to go in. So we do have some form of an idea of who's out there started, but nothing, that was more for accountability, for access.
Judge, if I may,
Yeah.
and this is not my area
You
of
may.
expertise.
I'm going to speak
But
for
I've been
him.
a few places and I've seen a few things. if the license is too cumbersome to figure out an immediate next step between the existing businesses and who gets the license and this person is exempt, and it may be something that you consider that for contractors doing work, maybe there is something outside of that license under your emergency declaration that we could call a background check or an NCIC check. I'm going to say the wrong acronym, Sheriff, I apologize. Some kind of check. Do they have a contractor's license in another state? Do they have any criminal history on their driver's license? And that could be something like a $50 fee to do that background check.
Yeah, just to do it.
But the occupational tax and the other tax is how this county exists. And so we certainly don't want to bypass that, because in other areas, we're excited to have folks come in because they're buying gas in our area. They're shopping at our Walmart. Well, if you don't have the sales tax to benefit
Right.
from that,
We're getting nothing.
yeah. So then you won't have your PVA or your what's it called? The tax on the homes, and
Real estate
you
tax.
don't have sales tax, and you don't have occupational tax. So you have to do something to capture something in the very short term and in the longer term as well.
Main thing I'd like to see is for us to be able to track them down if there's a
Is that
crime
something-
of some sort
Right.
with
So
some.
we would want to do more, especially at the checkpoints or the choke points of checking license. Maybe a stopgap would be taking a picture of everyone that comes through with their license, or the picture of their license plate, so that at least we can go back
Right.
and review while we are capturing their names at the volunteer check-in, or their phone numbers, or, people are smart when they're trying to do bad things.
Yeah.
Why don't we look at what we currently have in place as far as contractors and residents checking in, that we tie in information that we're wanting to capture, specifically on this request.
And in the meantime, there's contractors and contractors and contractors. The debris hauler contractor will be registering appropriately. ER Assist will be registering appropriately. Debris Tech, who is a sub under ER Assist, you don't have to worry about those three.
Yeah.
So we got those done.
Is that something that's?
So you're saying, let's revisit, see what we have in place, maybe work with somebody from the building inspection board and get this,
Yeah, 'cause
revisit this. I think it's important to have in
Out of the school, when
place.
they come in, they've got a barcode on the wall, and everybody scans the barcode, and it shares information, creates a database of those individuals, either a contractor or a resident. So there is information that has already been captured.
Okay.
If we need to go a little bit more in detail as far as what may need to be requested, as far as what we just talked about, we can maybe add that to what we're trying to capture into that process.
Yeah, I just think the ones who the ones who go to the high school or wherever that is, and do that, those are the ones we're probably not worried about anyway. The ones that make it through that and are at Cambridge Shores, he and I were driving around yesterday, and these guys had those transformers in the back of the, that's
Well, the
assuming
real,
they were not.
I'll
supposed
take
to
a look
have-
and bring that back to it. I'll bring something back, maybe with some additional communication equipment. That barcode could be shared out at the choke points.
Okay.
And then their only point of entry would be the water, which is,
And it may be even too, not just because the limited inspectors that we have on all these locations, but it may too be putting out the information to let residents know that
Right.
When someone shows up, have you been checked in, and do you have, before they do business with them?
Yes.
Right.
Between
And for those residents to take a picture of that
The
contractor's
real
driver's
issue on this is
license.
going to come when the checkpoints are no longer in existence and they start driving nails. Mr. Gibson, did you want to say something?
I was talking to Kevin just a second ago, and he was here when Mike put the thing in for the ice storm. He said he wasn't sure that ever went away. So that system may still be in the treasurer's office. If it is, it'd just be a matter of hooking back into that.
Bill, I think, if I remember, I was in the judge's office at the time. I think it was just temporary. I remember they had to come in, fill out an application. They'd give their ID, any business credentials they had, and then we would print off a certificate. And we encourage the people out there, if you are hiring these contractors, make sure they show this certificate. If they don't have this certificate, don't hire them. It was kind of set up to protect the people from getting scammed in a way, because.
That's the system that we're looking for now.
Yeah.
And, we're not trying to license all these people.
Right.
Because it would be particularly impossible
Yeah.
to bring out-of-town people in.
Yep.
Between me and Anita, I think when we go back to our respective offices, we might be able to find what we did in 2009. Because, I remember it, and it was, all identification, general liability insurance, workers' comp coverage, provide certificates of that. All the good stuff that you want a reputable contractor to have is what we were wanting proof of.
Great.
We can probably take that same language and just add it in.
Just try to, yeah.
Because right now, as far as the state of Kentucky is concerned, I could go up tomorrow, I could start a contracting business tomorrow.
True, yeah. I get what you're saying.
And I don't even know where the hammer is in my house, so that ought to
Yeah.
be frightening.
You should probably spend more time with me, and I can help you.
I know one thing that I asked Brittany to do, and that we're going to share out ourselves, is something that we've seen a little bit of, is contractors showing up at somebody's house saying, give me your insurance information, we'll do this work for you, and we'll bill it to the insurance. Well, the problem is if the insurance is not pre-approved at, if it's not paid, then the resident is going to get stuck with that
Right.
bill. So that's one thing I asked Brittany to mention about when she was doing her thing, we're going to push out to make sure the residents are aware. Don't just, if you authorize work to be done, it's not a volunteer group, you're going to be responsible for that bill, and to be aware of that. So if somebody just comes in and says they'll bill the insurance company, don't necessarily trust that.
So is that something then that we can, and I assume maybe they're doing it already, the FEMA representatives, or Sue, they're also focusing on that of, listen, you're going to have contractors show up. No,
So
FEMA's not going to do that.
What, that's called assignment of benefits, and it can be catastrophic. And I think, well, Sue, will you back me up on this, that 97% of the time you should not sign an assignment of benefits. It is only appropriate in,
You're talking about what he just said.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
saying, what I'm asking though is at the point where that homeowner speaks to FEMA,
Mm-hmm.
is there a document that we can, that they can
Oh, that we
hand
can
them
give
to, since
FEMA,
they're
real
going
FEMA?
to, yeah, like to say,
we'll give
here's
FEMA.
what to look for as far as your contractor is concerned.
I do not think FEMA does that. I work, as of this morning, we're trying to source some disaster red books. And that is a guide that does have some warning signs, and we're looking to order enough and have enough donated so that we can pass those out to everyone.
Well,
and those
yeah.
will have those signs. But in the meantime, I have some subject matter experts that I bet we can get someone to do a video or a PDF.
Yeah, and that's the
handout.
thing that I think I'm finding, and I'm sure everybody else is that as important as we think social media is,
Not everyone's on it.
not everyone's on
I'm
it.
not on it.
And or able to be on it
Right.
during this time. It's so I get it. The people that sharing it are not, again,
Right.
I've said it before, we fill up these donation sites, and then when it comes to the people that actually need to get it, they're not
Hopefully
getting that
that's something
information.
with Compass 82. We're doing integration with all the structures in the county and identification and providing that list to Compass 82, and that's something that we're working on.
Okay.
The IT department with emergency management. Judge, I think we may be asking our neighbors that came through mutual aid from the central Kentucky to help with that this week. It is such a priority, and it is so important that we're going to have emergency managers from central Kentucky help us on it so that it is elevated to the highest, because everyone does agree with you that,
Okay.
especially when the phones are out.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have
right, yesterday.
No phones,
That's true.
Limited internet, and we're saying check social media.
Yeah.
Like, okay, how?
Yeah. And and with all due respect, then you have, if WPSD is putting out there, half the county doesn't get WPSD, So it's an unfortunate issue that's
Hopefully by the-
added to that
Yeah,
now.
hopefully by the next time I talk to you, we have defined the rails and we're getting ourselves on the rails.
Right, okay. Sounds good. Boy, you need to be in my part of the county. That's where all the rail is, so you'd be very popular in Calvert, yes.
So as far as that, we'll go back and, that recommendation, we'll go back and pull the previous one and see if the language, we'll just use that language, and come up with a way to get the information out to the citizens. That's the key
That is the key.
the citizens to be like, are you registered or are you identified through the county?
Yeah, and if that takes our Central Kentucky Emergency Management folks here deployed on mutual aid, or some vetted, trusted volunteers to go door to door and/or to the state parks and/or to the other locations that we know that they might be, and having a face-to-face conversation with every single person, then that's what
we do.
what we'll do.
Okay. Alrighty.
That's the 09 executive order.
Next 6 months, is that looks like that's the issue. It was a 6 month, is that right?
Yeah, I don't
Based on looking at
I don't
that?
remember the AG's office being a part of that, but obviously it was. So I can reach out to General Cameron's office today and see if
They
they've
got
got something that we can use.
Yeah, they got the fraud hotline too. All right.
So, yeah, that's Anita's document. She typed that.
No typos in that one, are there, Anita?
All right, we'll need a motion to bring off the table item A.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we're going to discuss, just to give you an idea, and I've asked Laurel to be here to field any questions. Talking with some of the eastern counties that have come down, Boyd County and Elliott County, they obviously, with their disasters that they had to do things like line of credits to get access to monies. Obviously, there's a hearing process that counties have to go through, so there's some time there. And I'll have Laurel explain that it's not so much that time frame's not really going to hamper us. It's just really what's the court want to do as far as getting a line of credit and how much. RFPs that would be put out, because I'm sure this will be competitive. I think you said just in debris in our county was $12 million. So that's just debris.
Does that make your stomach rumble?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Debris removal
that's just debris. That's not the other.
could be $12 million.
Now, talking with,
And the more we have volunteers help push it to the curb and help separate it,
Sure.
the less of that cost.
I'm sorry, 15
sorry.
million, not 12 million. 15.
I'd already
Up,
written
Judge.
down
You're right.
12, so I don't think I can
Going the wrong
change that
direction.
I was
estimate.
trying to make you feel
Right.
good about that, but
Yeah.
Just tempering it.
What's 3 million between friends? Right.
yeah.
$15 million.
There's lots of ways we can get that number, the
Mm-hmm.
local share, down to zero. So obviously, we're doing our very best within that 30 days. Then, if we are able to track all the volunteers and all the donations, that comes as an offset grant. So it's very possible in the end, if everyone works together and we're able to document everything, that $15 million will be just an administrative pain, not necessarily a gut punch to your bottom line. You do have to be able to float the money because FEMA is a reimbursement program. And while we have every indication from the governor and the president that they will be helping us with what's called an expedited grant, that is just 50% upfront, and we still have to do the funding cycle. So you've got to get the money, cut the check in order to get reimbursed. Then we're limited then by the reimbursement cycle of KYM. FEMA gives the money to the state gives the money to the locals. So we need to build in a buffer, or I suggest the county builds in a buffer, because it's not that you get a check auto-deposited from FEMA on, in January 1st, 2022. I'm so sorry.
Do we have anything in writing yet on any of this? I know they've indicated, I heard,
So
the-
I have not seen it in writing yet, but we were putting together everything in the expectation that is happening.
the first 30 days is supposed to be 100%.
Oh, yes,
I
we
mean,
have
I've-
that.
I've
in
heard
writing.
all that,
Yes,
but
we
she's
have it
told
in
me
writing.
that. Yeah, okay.
We got Biden on TV saying that. He can't go back on that.
The 30-day thing, though, just to clarify, is in writing.
The
It's
30 days in
it's
writing, the expedited funding,
Yeah,
I
right.
have not seen it in writing yet, but that doesn't mean it is, but everyone keeps saying it is, and so we'll just start the
reasonable
rumor and keep
reliance.
repeating it, and
Do
it'll become
we,
true.
do we even know, let's assume it is, what expedited is versus not expedited?
Oh, well, you
Oh,
ask
that's
all
a-
the questions.
yeah.
So expedited means expedited to the FEMA world.
Okay,
That still could be 2 to 3 months,
okay.
maybe 4 months.
That's light speed for the federal government.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So far,
document-
you've not helped the stress level, Laurel, so I appreciate it.
Next time I'll bring Pepto-Bismol.
Okay.
Documentation is so critical in these situations. Talking with Boyd County and Elliott County, their disaster was February of this year, and they're still waiting. They have received some monies, but it's not a short-term execution, because, and this is just my own opinion based off of what I've been told and what I've seen, you've got federal, state, and local governments. So you got 3 government agencies that are making contracts and handling monies, and it's just, it's time-consuming. I know my executive director for my association came into town yesterday, and I was beating the drum to him, which he was already aware of the ongoing issues with the counties that I just mentioned. And so this is stuff that has been discussed, but I will say that the judges have received payments, and they have made payments. They have utilized the line of credit, and you look at some of these counties, they don't have the revenue stream. So they have to use that line of credit, and it has helped them along this process. but there will be growing pains. I will tell you that.
It's also very efficient then if you could, sorry to interrupt.
Yep, go ahead.
Bossy. It's very efficient if you establish that line of credit to kind of act as your de facto FEMA fund, and then you pay at least your big expenses out of that. Then later on, it's a little bit easier for me when I'm putting the grant together to look for, or to know which account it came out of, and it's easier. I mean, that's a treasurer Laurel problem. That's not your problem. And so I'm just saying, do this line of credit so you can save me 2 minutes of work later. No, I'm not.
You know,
It will remove some administrative friction.
yeah. So, just logistically, as it relates to budget, because of does this executive, or not executive action, but emergency declaration help us at all as it relates to budget amendments?
Yeah, I think that
i.e.
we go down to
overtime
one
and
reading.
all that.
I don't know, I need to look into all the exact information on it, but I know that we go down to one reading instead
Because, I
of
mean,
having to
my
have two.
goodness, we would have budget amendment after budget amendment. We'd have one every single.
Well, with the revolving line of credit, once you guys decided on an amount and we're approved, we'll amend the entire amount of the revolving line of credit in.
And then
So
that's
that's a
just,
one-time deal.
yeah. Okay. It's
Just
just,
have to give reports on that, right? And we wouldn't have to amend the budget necessarily every time.
well, the
right?
expenses are still going to be increased. It's not, just the fact that you're just paying with it, with a line of credit, I wouldn't think really matters. I think you're still going to have to, I hope we don't have to report, not,
I've been in contact with DLG and
But
they've told me
anyway,
that they'll
it's-
walk me through everything, but,
it doesn't affect us.
I don't think we'll be constantly budget amendment. We'll
Okay.
probably have to do it once and then go from there.
Yeah. All right.
Now, of course, like up front, we have some things that we need to go ahead and start paying for, so we need to talk about that today too. Moving some money of what we already have before our line of credit gets put into place, so we'll have that conversation in a little bit.
The roughly 5 weeks with DLG, the hearing that we would go through, that's something to where with an emergency, trying to get to see if we can speed that or expedite that process. And I don't know if that's because the process itself, but 5 weeks, I mean, that's,
There's a standard amount of time for them to have questions or comments. I think they have to give 2 weeks for that, but.
and I don't know if that actually, because that's going to rely on or fall on them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that.
I don't know if they can expedite that or not, but it'd be nice if they could.
The last person I spoke to, which was actually somebody at KCO, said that even in the ice storm, they did not expedite that
Expedite.
process for any of the counties. So I'm going to assume they're probably not going to do that at this time.
Whatever.
Have you ever experienced interest being reimbursed to a county on a revolving loan?
So, interest is eligible for FEMA up to the point of time that it is FEMA's delay that caused the interest to be incurred. So if, for example, if we had a loan today, up to the time that FEMA obligates the money and gives the money to the state, that interest is eligible. FEMA, as the federal taxpayer, does not want to pay interest because of delays in state processing or delays in the local processing to do that request at the state level.
But is it a delay in normal payment period time or from the time, you know what I'm saying? So like is it a, hey, we'll pay your late charge after the 15 days or no,
I have
from,
I have to request it as part of the grant.
okay.
So-
So we don't know until, we just don't know what we know.
It sounds like.
I'm sorry.
No,
You and I
on
guess
the
just
camera
need to.
For the record.
It sounds to
like-
me like we should get ready to pay some interest.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And so I say this because I'm on state term contract. My contract, like I was put on that state term contract based on the evaluation by KYEM. It's a KYEM state term contract. So what I'm about to say right now and say.
Is totally positive towards
Correct.
KYM, yeah.
Yes. Yes. So
I
there
gotcha.
will be delays.
Yes.
Other states, I think in this disaster, it's possible that we're going to get some faster processing just based on the dollar amount. It affects the whole state, not just, for example, this year, just Eastern Kentucky, because of the dollar amount of each of the state agencies that are at stake. I'm very hopeful that we'll have some faster processing.
Okay.
And
We will remain hopeful with
Yes.
you,
Yes.
Laurel.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, we can go through this process with DLG, with the hearing. I know the estimate's 15 million, but at some point, if I remember correctly, we could, if we wanted to change that, that can be changed through the process, the amount. But getting it started,
Yes.
that's why we got it.
So through them, after, that's no interest?
As she was saying, when FEMA has it, we can get reimbursed. But once they make the payment to the state, then
No, I'm sorry.
The interest from KCO or from the banks?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know the RFP putting out to banks is,
So it's
but,
competitive on the rate then?
right. But the other piece, I thought we were talking about a revolving line.
Same thing.
Also through it is too.
Same thing, line of credit
It's all.
revolving, it's,
Well, yeah, I know that, but
Oh,
I'm saying
sorry.
interest. I guess I'm unsure what the DLG piece of this is.
so you have to
That's what
have
I'm
a
saying.
hearing. So if it's KCO
For
or.
what though?
It's a debt hearing, just like we
Yeah.
had for our bonds.
So-
Even for this RFP is what you're saying.
For this line of credit.
So this
Yes.
line of credit.
For this line of
Even
credit.
if it's from okay.
Private
All right.
bank, yep.
I thought what you were saying is maybe it was like a KIA loan
no.
or something like that.
Oh.
No,
We
you're
still
not
have to get
saying-
permission to have the
we're
debt
still
like
gonna
we do
have
any
it,
other
no
debt.
matter what.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Enough said.
the,
All right.
like one of the counties, they had an estimate.
Yeah.
They went in through the hearing, and because of they had the pass-through, they had a lot of pass-through debts, like, we got AOC, all these other debts that are passed through, and just their overall budget. What they were needing, they would only give them X amount.
So the request that we make to DLG, can it be made prior to this RFP, these bids coming back to us, so that we're not
Yes.
having to
Yes.
wait on? Okay,
Yes.
so that
I'm
5-week
recommending-
process starts
Yeah,
today,
like,
assuming
I'm going to fill
we,
out this initial
right.
form when we are done today and
At
send it
least-
to DLG saying we intend to ask for a debt hearing.
so it's not a big deal that we put that RFP out, and that's 2 weeks down the road when we get those bids and decide what it is, because we're still waiting on DLG.
And my understanding is we'll get some
That
kind of
doesn't
initial
extend.
letter from DLG saying, yes, we understand you want debt, and
Yeah.
then they'll set a debt hearing date.
Okay, all right.
And
Got
then
it.
at that hearing, usually you have someone like me appear and say, this is why we're asking for this. This is invoice number, and this is
Gotcha.
FEMA approved worksheet is at this step. And then just to give everyone a clear understanding of why it's being asked for.
Gotcha. Okay.
But any delay in moving forward for that possible line of credit will just compound your problems later. It's kind of like the SBA loan, which is really a FEMA loan
Yeah.
for the individuals.
Yep.
It's probably better to start this process and then say, if you don't need it, say never mind, than to not start it and see what happens and then
Yep.
just be behind the curve.
And I
Yep.
do have to provide an initial amount on this initial disclosure of intent to have debt. And if we were to go above whatever we put, and we go all the way through the debt hearing process, and the debt hearing's done and they've approved, and we come back and need more, we would have to do a debt hearing again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's only the amount, the interest rate, which is going to be the competitive, or rate and terms and
It's going to be
all that stuff. is
determined by
gonna
our
be-
RFPs.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that is not something that the DLG necessarily concerns herself with. So
I don't
that
think so, no.
This again, it does not hinder us by another 2 weeks waiting for bids to get out, or
Right.
whatever we put in the RFP. I don't
Right.
even know what that'll be, but, okay.
We do have an example from
Yeah.
Johnson County.
And I had Jason review that example that I took from Johnson County, and he did you said that we should consider adding another bullet point that says fees or penalties for any early termination, whether there are fees or penalties for early payment, and if so, how much, and any other fees, costs, penalties that are associated or could arise with the line of credit, to the bullets of what they need to turn in to us.
I mean, it's a line of credit, so you can always take it down to zero, I guess, but it wouldn't wouldn't hurt to have that in there. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
what she found
Pay
in
it
Johnson
down to
County
zero.
was, I thought, very thorough, but, just throw something.
yeah, yeah, it won't hurt. Yes, I got you.
So as far as getting the process moving forward, I would recommend to the court, what the estimate was 15 million. Again, we start that
Yep.
process,
Yep.
and we get that ball rolling, and we can adjust as we move through that process.
Yep.
Also, just for information's
So
sake,
let me ask you this just real quick, because I haven't had time to, I see the minimum draw amounts, timing restrictions. Let's assume, or in this particular case, if it is a institution that we choose that is outside of the current institution that we use now, would we also open that separate account, the deposit account with them? And if so, as opposed to transferring that into, I mean, I think another account maybe that is totally separate just for these draws might be.
if we've made a contract with them to be our bankers, but we choose somebody else, would we?
Because if you don't, let's say it's someone else, then could there be fees on the transfer into us with that draw each time?
Silence comes over the room.
I don't know
Is
about a
that
tractor
something
trailer,
that-
but I do know.
Are we under obligation to
is that
keep all of
something
them
that we
with
can-
them just because we chose them at the bidding process?
I don't know what those, I mean, we have to look at the terms of that agreement.
Is it something that we can look at?
Yeah. I mean,
That was
we-
before I
so-
came, so I would think 2017.
I
So
mean,
we
you
could
might-
make the,
Well, yeah,
I don't want it to hold us up, but I do think it's something that may need to be, like a pending.
I mean, you might consider
approval.
putting that in the RFP. Do you expect, in your proposal, are you requiring that a pay account be established?
A deposit.
A deposit account be established along with your proposal?
Yeah.
And if so, what would be the terms of that account? Are there fees? Are there minimum transactions?
Yeah.
And then if,
I would expect.
do you, or, and then even add a question like, do you have a working relationship with the fiscal court already?
That's, yeah, I don't know about that, but I certainly think it would be my assumption that those that were bidding might assume that you would open a deposit account to transfer that into versus doing whether it's a wire or a ACH or whatever it is each time. I mean, it just.
Yeah, I think that we probably should add that into the RFP.
So is the institution requiring a deposit account to be set up with the institution? If so, what are the terms and conditions for that account?
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds good.
In the section B that asks
Information.
for the information that they provide. Yeah, actually two. The first one he recommended, and now this one.
So, I will say, and I know you have it in there, so you're not, to me, you are not giving them an option other than fixed, which I will tell you, and I think you probably know this already, is not the norm for a line of credit. It is tied to a treasury rate. So what I don't, and I get it, but what I don't also want to see is that
We're
we
limited by that.
lose 2 weeks or whatever term this is because there's not a single person that wants to do a fixed rate on a line of credit.
We can include the language for both, if that's what you want to do.
Does that make sense?
Well, yes, and I'm just wondering, do you know if Johnson County was successful on their RFPs?
Yes, and
With a fixed rate?
I don't know that, but I can text.
I can find out.
This is the Johnson County Judge Executive's person
final
sent me
draft.
this. This is exactly what went out to the bank, so.
So
now, whether
again-
they chose a fixed rate or if they ended up with something else that she didn't give me that.
So
information.
again, I would love for it to be a fixed rate. That's what I want to see also. Again, my concern is that is the only thing that we are asking for. And so,
The flip side of that, though, is if you ask for both, nobody's gonna submit a fixed rate. So it's a kind of a catch-22.
I have texts into Carter and Johnson County, and we'll see what they both say. Who answers first? But it has to make it all the way to Eastern Kentucky.
let's just, again, what's our time frame? What time frame are we required to give on this RFP?
Well, the sooner the better.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, is there what's the legal time frame?
Do we have?
The legal or is there a legal minimum?
So if it would be the same as the debris, would it be two weeks? But if you're under emergency, I don't know whether that would apply to the 7-day or not.
Well, on,
Financial.
as far as bonding and debt, if it's, we're asking for a 12 or 24 month, so that's less than 5 years. If you go over 5 years, then that, you get into real bid requirements. So
Okay, so this is like an RFQ then?
Yeah, so like a less than 5-year debt, I don't think that applies.
So you're saying this is not something that we would have to put in the paper?
Right.
And so we can put this out to those that we want to bid?
Yeah.
And then make that decision, even if we have to make it we can put whatever time frame we want in it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then
Because really, you're asking for professional services.
we could do this
not-
and in 7 days, they all come back and they're all fine with, and my concern is only my concern.
Yeah, I mean,
And if not, we
you
go
can
right
look
back
at-
to them and say, okay.
We've got two aspects at play here. Number one, you're not really talking about goods. You're talking about professional services.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes it out of the $30,000 range. And number two, you're talking about, on those debt statutes, if it's 5 years or more, or over 5 years, I should say, then you bid that out. But less than 5
Okay.
years, you don't have to bid that out.
Okay. All right.
There are counties that have gone with CAECO for their line of credit, but my understanding is that sometimes we would pay a slightly higher interest rate for that, and that it would be more time-consuming. So we would not get the process finished as fast if we wanted to look into that route.
Okay. So do we have this line of credit does it have a time frame on it? Is it in there?
It's in the very last paragraph, and it's
request?
just blank. I haven't put anything in it.
Oh, okay. So we need to, when we make the motion, make it with a date.
You want to do it at the same
What do
time
we-
we're coming in on the 3rd?
Oh,
Is that gonna give the institutions
So-
time enough to respond?
so I mean, in this particular situation, I would certainly hope so, but that's a good question. It's $15 million. So we're not asking for when this comes back, this is just logistically here. Is this a commitment? I mean, it's a flat out, commitment to do it.
No.
No.
It's in there.
It is the rate. Okay, so they would
There's-
still have to,
It's
because,
just like
I mean,
it's just
think
like we do.
about-
We don't, read that
yeah,
part of it.
we're always doing this based on the deposit, not the loan side. And so I haven't really even put that thought into it, that 5 weeks may not matter anyway, because they're still gonna have to go to a loan committee and, I mean, you're talking, it's a $15 million loan that has to be approved by someone at their
Yes.
institution, so.
Yeah, on their side. And then
Yes.
on our side,
So the sooner the better that we get that back, tell them it's them, and get that commitment from them,
Right.
the better.
Because you're working side by side, and at least for the eastern Kentucky counties that I just helped with these, was there while they did the lines of credit. As soon as they got the DLG approval, it was just days before they got the money.
Yeah.
So it's,
I think it was 3 days.
Yeah.
Judge Myers said. It was
Okay.
real quick.
So this says the county plans to draw from a line of credit on an as-needed basis to meet funding needs for the various FEMA-related projects. And then down a few paragraphs, it says the county reserves the right to determine in its sole and absolute discretion whether any proposal meets the needs of the county, along with the right to seek clarification from any firm submitting a proposal, the right to reject any or all proposals with or without cause. The RFP does not commit the county either to award a contract or pay any cost incurred in the preparation of the proposal.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying is we could, if we make it the 3rd, that same day, the same group gets those sealed bids, and then we bring it along with the other one, to the fiscal court the next day, right? Okay.
In the contracts world, this is basically saying you make
Yep.
us an offer and then we decide whether to accept it.
Yes, okay. All right, so I move that we put out this RFP for $15 million with a date back no later than January the 3rd, 2022 or do we need it back by that Friday to be able to, or no? We just put that 9 a.m.? Is that what you normally do?
You can put like, say, 11 o'clock, and then we can meet at 1.
Well, I think we're already meeting at 9, right? Don't we already have it down at 9? If we try to match that same bid proposal that we have on the others, that's what he was saying. Wouldn't it be a good idea to go ahead and just do them both at the same time?
The reason I told her,
Now,
So-
it's Monday, so 9.
I know. So should we say, I mean, is it okay to put that date? They're gonna send them in Friday, aren't they? Surely they got it.
8 o'clock Monday morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If they want it, they'll get them in. Well, then, Monday morning at 8.
All right.
It
So
is, yeah.
with proposals to be considered and evaluated must be sealed and received no later than January 3rd, 2022 at 8 a.m.
8:30.
8:30.
Yeah.
8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be, we're giving this to primarily local folks, so we can express to them when they need to have it back, other than this official. That's right. AM, Central Standard Time. Yeah.
Are you
You
done?
done with your motion?
I'm done with my motion.
I was waiting. It's like,
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The minutes for this meeting are going to say, Monty said.
And said.
I think it'll say Commissioner Collins, but regardless.
And said.
All right. She popped smoke, so we'll go on to item C. Sheriff's Audit. Everybody should have a copy of this. We have to make a motion to receive or accept.
So
So
moved.
moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, transfers.
Okay, the first thing we need to talk about is, like I said earlier, we're gonna need to go ahead and move some money into these lines. We already have expenses coming out now, and we will up until we end up with our revolving line of credit. So, yeah, I've got some options. I think that we've talked a little bit about it. I think a number to go ahead and move in would be around $400,000 to $500,000.
Okay.
And the easiest place to get that would be the fire money, the fire insurance money. We have $451 of that left, so that's right there in that amount. It's already in the budget, so it would just be an appropriation transfer. Right now, it's in the budget as just in our general fund investments as far as the expense line. We had not committed that to anything yet. We had committed some of it. We committed $20,000 to the roof, $5,500 to the HVAC at the sheriff's jail office, and we had put $20,000 into repairs and maintenance. That's what leaves the $451. So that would be the quickest and easiest. If we get later to the point that we're drawing more than that and we don't have our revolving line ready yet, we can look at the Port Authority money. There's also the school money where they reimbursed, and those have been treated the same way. And we've only used a little of those, committed a little of those too.
Do you want that in with your other transfers?
So that actually should not require a bank transfer. It's just going to be an appropriation transfer out of the general fund investment line and into the FEMA line. The FEMA expense line, both are in the general fund. And it will need to be for $450,000.
All right. So, do you want to go ahead and do you need to tell us what the other transfers
That's
are
the
so that I
only,
can add
that's
it
the
to-
only appropriation transfer. So from
So-
general fund investments line to the FEMA expense line, $451,000.
Okay, because the
What
others
line?
are
I'm sorry.
OTA.
What did you say? I'm sorry. That's bank transfers that you're looking at on
Okay.
there.
What line did you say is going to? I'm sorry.
Two, did you say
FEMA.
two? FEMA expense line, and I can
Okay.
tell you the exact wording of it if you want me to, what it's worded, how it's worded in BIP. I had to create that line.
I move we approve the transfer of $450,000 from the insurance line to the FEMA.
Reimbursable expense line.
Reimbursable expense line.
Second.
Okay.
Sorry, to make it easy, make it 451.
451,000.
Yes,
There we
that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, bills and claims. Are there any reasons?
Oh, wait a
I
minute.
have bank transfers too, I'm sorry. And those are just transfers of our occupational tax. Those are items that we already have budgeted. It's $175,000 from OTA to the general fund, $50,000 from the OTA to the jail fund, and $100,000 from the OTA to the sheriff fund that lives in the general fund.
And
bank.
these are normal transfers, not because of
Nope.
overtime of any of those folks? Okay.
No, it's just our regular
Right,
budgeted
'cause those
transfer
will all
in.
be-
I mean, we will at some point need to deal with overtime and stuff because it
Yes.
is being coded to the individual funds right now. But that's something we'll probably be fine for the 5 or 6 weeks it takes us to start this revolving line of credit,
Okay.
and then we can address it then.
I move we approve the bank transfers.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any reason to deny payment of the bills or claims? Hearing none, let the clerk record that the bills and claims are to be paid. And just for the purpose of the community,
I can double
we put a burn ban. I put a burn ban in place because while we were out there searching throughout the community, people were burning and we didn't want to compromise those efforts, so I have actually pulled that burn ban. So
Okay.
there is no burn ban in place.
That's good.
And I'm having Erica just double check, triple check that we don't have to bid that out. So if she finds out something else from DLG, then obviously we'll be on hand to take whatever action we need. But, just to let you know.
Okay.
All right.
Well, man, I gotta say that I feel like the last 10 to 11 days is the reason government is here.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
So, I cannot be any more proud of all of the people around this table,
Yes.
those that are not around this table, that aren't seen, that are out at the EOC and people don't see them, and we see the road department, and I've heard nothing but positives from our road department and all of our first responders, obviously, but this is, Brent Hausman told me the other day when I was at a meeting in Mayfield, this is what you were sent here for.
Yep.
And so I
Brag on the
appreciate
people,
all
too.
of you all.
You know, brag on the people. Folks, I seen people out Friday night, they weren't waiting for help, they were helping themselves. And we got some resilient people in this county, and I am
incredible.
damn proud to represent them. They're good people.
It's refreshing to see in the world we live in, people out helping others that they don't even know. It's just been so encouraging.
Yeah, and Eastern Kentucky, obviously working through the state EOC, Eastern Kentucky counties coming down, helping us out, not just here in Marshall, but the whole, from Fulton to Warren, and in the EOC, actually, Eastern Kentucky.
You could tell the other day they were sad to leave.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for that, one individual that she was just so tore up,
Yeah.
and so that's, it's strange to say that's refreshing to see someone get so upset to have to, but it also makes you remember just why we love living here and
Yes.
being from here too. So that's awesome.
We've
to
got
see.
others from like New York.
Yeah.
There's a team from New York, and they are just impressed with the
I told that boy
operations.
from New York I was never so glad to see a truck full of Yankees come south, but I was.
Well, we should have adjourned. Let's go ahead. I knew it. It was gonna happen. We knew it. Okay, I moved to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.